If you have a tiny or small kitchen or just want to streamline your kitchen because it's a little chaotic, then this is the video for you. Now, I don't have the smallest kitchen in the world, I'll acknowledge it, but it was a downsize from the apartment kitchen that Andy and I had before moving into this house. And even though it's a cute kitchen, it has everything you need, it actually has surprisingly little cupboard space and very little counter space for cooking or keeping appliances. And I notice when Andy and I move around and are working in there together, we're constantly bumping into each other and we never seem to have enough space. So I've made some adjustments, simplified some things, and I thought it would be helpful and kind of fun to share my strategies with all of you who are looking to simplify your kitchens. The first strategy I've used is to keep only what I use regularly in my kitchen. So things like a crock pot or a large mixing bowl, I'll keep in storage elsewhere, either in our basement pantry or in some other cupboard space. Sometimes it's a little less convenient to have to go grab those, but also if I try to cram as much as possible into my active kitchen space, then it's that much harder to pull things out and to find things. Part of this is finding or creating more storage space elsewhere in your home, so that may take some decluttering and effort to find that other space for those other appliances, but doing that will make a big difference in how your kitchen feels. A second strategy I've used is to keep mats and rugs out of the kitchen. And basically what I found is if I have some kind of little rug or mat in there, when it's already small and you've got multiple people shuffling around in there, it's easy to trip on the mat or the rug, and it can just kind of fumble you up and get in the way. And yes, sometimes a foam mat is nice for foot support, but instead I just wear really good slippers or supportive shoes while I'm in the kitchen. I think this approach has also made my kitchen a little bit more visually streamlined. A third strategy I've used is grocery delivery. The key to grocery delivery is, especially if you subscribe to a grocery service, to have it scheduled to send to you regularly. You don't have to store as much food actively in your kitchen all the time because you know it will come at regular intervals. And instead, you're using their storage facility for the storage instead of your home. And so that brings me to the sponsor of the video, Thrive Market, because theirs is a grocery delivery service that saves you money and gets you good food. Basically, Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store that guarantees you savings on every single order. So basically you sign up for a membership, which is month to month $12, or if you sign up annually, it's $5 per month. So you pay all at once at $59.95, which sounds like an investment, but the amount the Thrive Market saves you over time is so much because by having this membership system, Thrive Market is able to cut down the prices of their foods. And what's really nice is they prioritize having good quality food, organic foods, options for a variety of diets. In fact, when you're shopping on their site, you can even filter for particular types of diets based on your dietary restrictions, which is really nice. What I also like about Thrive Market is that you can sign up for regular grocery deliveries, and that helps me stay stocked in my kitchen without having to go out to the grocery store and to think about it. It also honestly saves me mental energy and planning. Okay, I've got my most recent order here from Thrive Market. Always fun to open it up and to see what's inside and remember what I ordered. I love this organic pappardelle egg pasta. It's really thick and you get to feel like you're making super fancy pasta. Organic rolled oats, these are my favorite. These organic fruit circles snacks. This was a new discovery to me and I'm excited because I think I'm going to pack them in my hospital bag for when I deliver my baby. The Thrive Market organic vodka sauce is my favorite vodka sauce out there. So creamy and rich. And then of course Thrive Market also offers other types of products that help around the house. I've got some fresh hand sanitizer and peppermint organic hand and body lotion. And with that order, I saved $21.54. Pretty good. I'll also mention that Thrive Market is good for you and the planet in that orders are shipped with carbon neutral shipping from their zero waste warehouses. You can join Thrive Market today using the link at the top of the description box, thrivemarket.com/AylinLesser, and you can get 30% off your first order, as well as a free gift they'll throw in worth up to $60. So I just wanted to throw that out there for those of you looking for like an easy, good grocery delivery system, because again, I think it's good for a small kitchen as well. A fourth strategy I've used is to use a small basket caddy for silverware. Basically because I simply don't have the drawer space for a full drawer for my silverware, I've used this caddy, which ends up being quite convenient if I want to bring it outside, if we're grilling in the backyard, or if I just want to bring it to the table to make it easier. It's very simplified, and then also it doesn't take up that much counter space. I can move it off the counter if I want to and kind of put it away in a cupboard, but it's all organized, and that way I'm not taking up very precious drawer space. A fifth one is that I've also used smaller temporary appliances where possible. So for example, with a toaster, I used the old-fashioned pop-up type of toaster rather than a toaster oven that would sit on my counter all the time and take up a bunch of space. Keeping it more compact just saves some counter space in my kitchen while I'm toasting something. Similarly, I just use a pour-over coffee maker that I can also put away when I'm not using it, and it's petite enough that it doesn't take up much counter space if I do decide to leave it out. I've just tried to be a little creative about how can I make things literally physically just a bit smaller and still get what I need out of my kitchen. A sixth approach I've used is to try to be smart about my counter space and to keep as much off the counter as possible. So for example, by having those smaller appliances, I actually keep them off the counter most of the time. So I have a drawer for my toaster that's easily accessible, so I'm able to put my toaster away most of the time, and it just isn't taking up that visual space or physical space. And then also I'm creative with it. I look at what are areas of dead space that I can't reach very well that I could use for storage for some of those things. So for example, there's this back corner behind the sink in my kitchen that's kind of dead space. I'm not going to be like chopping vegetables back there. So that is where I keep my caddy for my silverware, as well as some knives that are more easily accessible. Now, not everybody will have dead space, but be creative. Look around your kitchen. Is there some kind of surface that's kind of a dead space or a little less convenient to get to where you could store those things that you do want on the counter? A seventh strategy I've used is to have an extra surface area that I can use for active cooking, but also put away or kind of push away at a different time. So essentially in my kitchen, we have this flap that we can pull up that's kind of this temporary table that really gives a lot more space for things like slicing and dicing or just kind of piecing ingredients together. But we can also close it up and put it against the wall when we're not using it so that it creates more open space in the kitchen. Other options, if you don't have a built-in option like this, are to also get one of those kind of counter carts that you can find at IKEA or really any kind of furniture store. Sometimes you can get even like a pretty petite one, but just a small square of extra cutting board or surface space can make a huge difference in a small kitchen. Especially if you get one on wheels, then you can kind of scoot it out when you need it and scoot it away when you don't. An eighth strategy I've used to try to simplify my kitchen is to just keep it as clean as possible, to get rid of that layer of grime as quickly as possible after it develops. Because essentially I feel like the kitchen is a space where it's easy to get just like a fine layer of grease everywhere. You know, especially if you look high up on cupboards, sometimes grease kind of goes to the ceiling. Has anyone else noticed this, where you're wiping off your cupboards and you're like, oh, what is this? Well, I think that regularly washing your cupboards and keeping your sink clean and wiping things down and just keeping it a little sparkly clean, at least most of the time, can make a huge difference in making the kitchen feel more spacious and open and pleasant to be in and to work in. So I think it's that much more important when you're working with a smaller kitchen to keep it sparkly clean, at least again, as much as possible. Obviously, kitchens get messy sometimes. Another hack for making a small kitchen feel a little bit more streamlined and bigger is to make sure that it's well lit. You can either do this with a light fixture or adding these kind of bar lights right underneath your cupboards that are hidden away so you can have more light in your working space. Or it could be as simple as just opening up the curtains a bit more and letting in that natural light more often. I think when you're in a dark kitchen, again, it just starts to have this more gross feeling and you don't enjoy being in there and you feel more claustrophobic. But when it's well lit and maybe even you open a window and let air in, it's just a much more pleasant and spacious feeling place to be. My 10th tip is maybe the most important and probably the one that you've been waiting for me to say, but it is so important to underline, and that is to declutter as much as possible and to reduce redundancies. Because when you have spare shelf space, it's that much easier to just throw a mug in and out of the cupboard, or grab a plate, or put some food item away. And when things are easier to put away, you're more likely to keep that cycle of dirty dishes being cleaned going more quickly, and therefore in the long run, your kitchen will be less messy and unpleasant to be in. This is something I probably still have to work on, but I think that having fewer physical objects also means that you run out of them sooner and you have to wash them sooner. So if you are a procrastinator, it keeps you in that cycle of washing your dishes, putting them back, using the same ones, as opposed to having way too many and also having it harder to put things away. Ultimately, the best thing you can do in a small kitchen is to just declutter. One other piece of this is to remember that you can make your own rules. Just because most kitchens are supposedly supposed to have something in them doesn't mean you need to have that appliance or specific device. Keep the tools that you actually use, not the ones that are giving you guilt, that are telling you use me more but you never really use them. Basically, make your kitchen work for you, because ultimately the kitchen is a tool for you to create food for yourself, and there are no rules, there are no boundaries. You just have to look at the space, the container, and figure out how to fit the things that you're going to use the most and to use the space to your benefit. Anyway, those were some of my tips. Let me know if you have other tips for small kitchens or streamlining your kitchen space. I'm all ears. And don't forget, if you're interested in that Thrive Market offer for 30% off, plus that free gift worth up to $60, click on the link in the description box below. Anyway, thank you so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!